Now that we have a good understanding of on-chain trading, about decentralized exchanges, it's time to jump into some trading terminals, because this is by far the most effective way to actually execute trades. And there's a myriad of them that you could use. These are the ones that I have used and I use actively. So DexScreener is by far, I would say, the market leader. And it aggregates across dozens and dozens of different blockchains. Think of it as a trading view type of visualization and trading platform that aggregates data primarily from decentralized exchanges. And so if you're looking at Solana blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain, or you're looking at Binance, so if I want to look at Solana, these are the highest trending tokens across all decentralized exchanges on the Solana blockchain in the last 24 hours. If I'm looking at the last 6 hours, I can just click this and I'll be able to see it directly. So if I want to look at the last 24 hours, these are the most prominent exchanges, right? So Radium, Orca, Meteora, and Fluxbeam. And then I can look at the top. I can look at it by transactions rather than volume. I can look at gainers. And then more importantly, you see the tokens. You see the price, transactions, volume, makers. So these are essentially, think of them, the number of people who've actually held this particular token at any one point in time. And then the amount of liquidity in a particular trading pair, and the filters. So you can filter to say, I only want tokens that have at least 200,000 of liquidity, a fully diluted valuation of maximum of, let's say 15 million. And I want the page age to be at least 24 hours. I want there to be at least 100 transactions in the last 24 hours. And let's set the max to maybe, let's set it for 400 hours, and then remove the minimum to just minimum 2 hours. Volume, we can put it at 20,000, and let's put this at 20,000, and then let's run it. So now it's showing me all of the tokens that actually met that criteria, and I can be even more strict. I can say I want liquidity to be 400,000. So now I only want to see the trading pairs that have that. So these are the ones, like Remilio is a very interesting one on the Solana blockchain. Seal is another one that's intriguing. CatGPT, the vast majority of these tokens across all blockchains are going to be Ponzi schemes. They're going to be pyramid schemes. They're going to be traps. They're going to be like honeypot hacks, right? They're really, you have to be extremely careful on chain. This is like, there's no vetting or screening mechanism beyond what you're doing yourself. So let's say CatGPT. Let's look at this one particular coin that's up 700% in one day. And when you click it, it shows you some of the asset that you're looking for. You're looking at the pricing behavior of some of the on-chain traders snipe new launches immediately, and they use different algorithmic trading bots and Telegram bots like Maestro, Unibot, Banana Gun, and there's like 50 others that you can look at. But all of those 10 Telegram-based bots are centralized. And there's also a Blacksmith, trading terminal that also has its own sniping function, where it's trying to sweep and it's trying to enter trades immediately upon the issuance of the smart contract and immediately upon the creation of the liquidity pool itself. You may have a high failure rate, but it actually doesn't control your assets beyond what you define it as. So Blacksmith is a really interesting, experimental trading terminal / bot. Unibot also has its own trading terminal now that's web-based, but still centralized. So let's do CatGPT. So this one shows the price. It shows you the liquidity that's actually available. It shows you that some of it is locked. The majority of it is locked. Some of it is burned. You see the fully diluted valuation. So this is assuming that all tokens actually go into circulation. which is equivalent to the market cap, which is in line with what we're seeing here. We see that there's 5,600 people who had interacted with this particular token since its inception this morning. And you can see the number of buys and sells. You can see the amount of buy volume, sell volume. You can look at the actual pooled CatGPT amount, look at the trading pair, and then just take a look at it. So Solana AI Catcoin, CatGPT, CatGDP instead of GPT, which is interesting. So I think this is a typo. So that's a first red flag. That's CatGPT instead of CatGBT. And then if we look at their actual Twitter and their website, let's look at their website. So it's a meme fair launch. That's fine. And then you have this something's, yeah, see, this is a repurposed Twitter profile. So these are with 36,000 followers. And none of this looks, natural. This definitely looks like a highly manipulated asset that I would absolutely not touch under any circumstances. So this would to me is a skip. So we'll do a separate section of the courses on evaluating and screening and vetting projects. But I've already spotted 3 red flags. Also, this price behavior, even though it's not completely atypical, it is still fairly unusual. I think this is being manipulated. Like there's no question about it in my mind. So that's a Solana-based coin. But if you look at Ethereum and you find like Elon as an example that went up 403,000%, it's just a meme coin, right? It's just something that you have 4,000 buyers, 2,100 sellers. You have the pair that was created 16 hours ago. Pooled Elon is 300,000. But what's fun about this is that you actually have these built-in token auditor services. So like Token Sniffer, Quick Intel, and then Go Plus Security. And it tells you that there's a blacklist, which is not good, right? And there's also a whitelist. So you don't ever want to have a token or a protocol or a project have the ability to supersede control and to impose any form of black or white listing, right? It has no buy and sell tax, which is fine. Tax modifiable is no, which is good. The ownership has been renounced. And if you look at anti-whale is interesting because this is actually it's not a good or bad thing, but it could be problematic because you don't want to have, again, a token imposing any form of sort of pseudo constitutional control over ownership. Like you don't want that. That to me is just overstepping. And there's only 7 liquidity pool holders, which is okay. I don't see anything. And then if I look at the token sniffer profile of this particular asset, you can see if there's anything else that looks concerning. So far, there's not much. And then there is some concentration, not much when you look at the cluster map. So this could be something intriguing. Beyond just a meme coin. I mean, it just happened, right? It was April 20th was a few days ago. And now they're saying that it may have garnered some laughs because the marijuana reference, but you can also say that it's completely unofficially dedicated as the Elon Musk Day, despite his birthday being on June 28th. So I think they're sort of, really desperately trying to create a movement out of this, like born 69 days after 420, that is really a quite a stretch of a meme here. So that's one example of a trading terminal, DexScreener. Now, if you look at another very commonly used trading terminal, you have Dextools. So Dextools is powerful because it has a little bit more functionality. So last thing in DexScreener though is if you wanted to buy this particular asset, you can use the built-in trade on Uniswap button. So if you press this, it'll connect directly to your wallet and it'll allow you to trade on KibberSwap. Another option is you can just literally click this button, which will take you to an external Uniswap page, and it'll pre-populate that particular token, and it'll quadruple check that token itself is in fact the correct smart contract address, which is right here. If you would rather not use that, like myself, I would rather always copy the actual address and then verify that it's in fact correct. I also look at the pair and I look at the actual addresses themselves. So I just like to open all of these, and I like to just keep an eye on it, just see if there's anything that looks off, right? And you'll be able to see fairly quickly if there's any type of red flag. So an example is Elon top holders. You have some group is holding 43%, but that's the miscellaneous ones. One person's holding 2.3%, 2.2%. So you look at the token ownership and the distribution of token holders. This is the actual token itself in Etherscan. If you go to the actual token contract, you can see who created it, which is this. So let's see if they've created anything else, right? So you can look at their history. You can look at anything that looks even remotely concerning. But if we go to this particular contract, you can go to the contract itself, look at what language or compiler version was used, and just take a look through the code. If you don't have a computer science background, or you've never coded or developed any form of application, then it's fine. Then you defer to someone who's been doing that for a long time, right? And that's really what you do. So that is Dexscreener. So Dextools is another option, but it's the same premise. It's the same concept. So you're able to see live new pairs. You can look at multi-chart view. You can look at different statistics also across different exchanges. Again, Elon is number one here. That's really the premise of it, right? So if I see a particular asset and that's intriguing to me, like Sailor, which is definitely after the founder of MicroStrategy, right? Michael Saylor. And then you see market cap, you see liquidity. But what I like that they have is they have an aggregate function that allows you to be able to see different information security concerns around like the token audit results. So if I go to KeyCat as an example, it will also give me this comprehensive view, right? And you can see this. So it gives you contract verified, honeypot, buy tax. But the most powerful tool I've seen is if you click this, it gives you this comparative tabular view where you can see contracts verified, honeypot, buy tax, sell tax. Honeypot is essentially it's when a token creator, a smart contract creator, issues a contract into circulation and enables trading, but then prevents you from ever being able to sell, right? That's like a glorified honeypot, because once your money in, there's no way of getting the money out, and there is no actual strict definition of what a honeypot is. Like, it's not very clear of how to make sure that you can actually track proactively what is a honeypot. So I would very strongly suggest not blindly accepting these classifications, because there are honeypots that slip through and that are not identifiable by any form of token audit that's systematic. So hopefully that's clear. But this table really shows you quite a bit. So you'll see very quickly if there's any concerns. The other thing though is these tokens are becoming more and more sophisticated, and you have to be very careful, because even though you see sales being greater than zero, many of the sales themselves would be the founders and the devs and the people who are trying to scam everyone, right? So just proceed with caution. So that's Dextools, and the Dextools also has a program where if you buy their token, you can have access to preferential access to early features and new functions within the platform. But also you could use their Dexswap function. So this itself is their own built-in aggregator that aggregates different trades across KuberSwap and OKX, which is one of the most prominent centralized exchanges. And you have the ability to buy and sell different tokens from here to here, right? From X to Y, like we did in the prior examples in the course. And you'll see everything. So in Dextools and Dexscreener, you'll be able to actually filter by position size. So you can say, okay, let me look at the actual history of this. and I want to say I only want to look at whales. I only want to look at people who've actually transacted greater than 10,000. And then I can also say who is the maker. So if there's a particular wallet that I have in mind, I can filter to that particular wallet, and then it'll tell me it'll show me those transactions on the chart. Another thing is you can also hide the front running bots using how they define what that is. This is on the base blockchain. You can see it. So you can view actual transactions on it itself. And that's really how you do it here. And then on DexScreener, you filter using this function. So you say, I want greater than 10,000. These are the trades. But the beauty of this is you can also show top traders. So you say, this particular trader made 229,000 and then still has 5K that's unrealized as a P&L. So these are really cool functions. You can have some information on holders, have some information on liquidity providers. All of these trading terminals are heading in the same direction, which is basically being blockchain agnostic, right? Not paying any form of allegiance or committed to any one particular blockchain. They're being blockchain agnostic, decentralized exchange agnostic, and trying to have the same functionality built in, which is token auditing, information security considerations, token ownership, holder distribution rates, issuance rates, circulating base market cap actually being accurate, being able to track the right social media handles and profiles and websites that correspond to the actual token itself, trying to minimize slippage as much as possible by aggregating swaps in-house. The whole point is for you to stay on their platforms, right? Now that you have that basis of understanding, let's go through the other ones. So another very commonly used terminal is Birdeye. This was the most prominently used trading terminal for Solana at one point. So now it has Solana, Sui, Ethereum, BNB, but it's the same exact concept. So you can find gems, you can find trades, you can limit orders, you can upgrade for some premium functionality, you can look directly at new listings. And if I just go to all chains and I go to soulmates, so I can go to this particular asset, I can connect the wallet, I can transact, again, natively built in using their built-in swap function. I can also connect to the Trojan bot or Bonk bot. Those are competitors to Maestro and Unibot and Banana Gun bot. And but it's the same concept, right? You have a visualization of the price. You have indicators that you can add. They're all using the same built-in trading view, like built-in frame interface here. And so because they're using the same SDK. And there's a list of all their trades, a list of the technicals, and there's not really much, especially when you're talking about like a single day token. And then you have different markets where it shows you if there's other trading pairs that across different liquidity pools, but are related to soulmates. So usually you would see that here. And you'll see some community sentiment. I mean, when n equals 2, it's not really worth even considering. But if you have like sample size includes like 1,000, then that could be potentially intriguing to look at. And then you have the same concept around like their security audit of the main protocol. So Birdeye is really good. Birdeye is really powerful. And that could also be probably a very good early indicator of like a market top. If you start seeing people mentioning Birdeye, mentioning Gecko terminals, some of the more infrequently used terminals. Other one is Satscreener. So Satscreener is primarily for the Bitcoin blockchain ecosystem because there's Bitcoin ordinals, then there's Bitcoin BRC20 tokens that are ordinals are non-fungible. BRC20 are fungible tokens. Runes is a fungible token standard that was just created on the last halving a few days ago. And then you also have Bitcoin stamps, the SRC20 standard. Now there's also STX20, which is the Bitcoin stack standard. They're all coming in. They're all trying to compete. They're all trying to extract more market share from themselves away from EVM-based blockchains like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism. And there's also OpCat. So that's a new covenant that's being considered by many of the Bitcoin developers and supporters, that they're trying to reinstate that particular covenant into the blockchain to introduce some programmability and some more advanced functionality on natively within Bitcoin. So I think if those things start rising in popularity, then you might see some of these other blockchains lose some steam and lose some market share, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, what would happen to stacks if that were to happen? What would happen to the Lightning, network? What would that happen to some of the other layer 2 blockchains like B squared and Satoshi VM and Conflux and the 15 other ones that are being worked on. So that's Satscreener, and it's good because it's very difficult to actually have access to some BRC20 tokens, like to be able to actually have like a coin market cap that's specifically for BRC20 tokens. And so it is quite powerful, I would say, because it also allows you to track like Runes protocol, and it's interesting. It's definitely something that I would add to the inventory. And then BTC.tool is the same, but as some visualization where you can look at pups, you can look at runes, you can look at ordinals. It also has the ability to inscribe on ordinals directly. It allows you to buy a collection of ordinals if you want. Looking at rune pups or Bitcoin puppets or quantum cats, right? Rune Milio. These are all rising in popularity recently, and you can see by the number of holders, these are growing, right? Bitmap is one of the OGs, and that's really it. And then Gecko terminal, we don't need to go through every single one of these, but it's the same concept, right? So B squared network, we're just talking about that as a layer 2 running on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And it's there. And then Ape space is really cool. It's actually quite powerful because it has a built-in honeypot checker. But what I like about this one is if I go to any actual coin itself, I can go to the honeypot checker and I could see whether or not there's any risk. So they consolidate different token audits from different services. And then there's also DexView. DexView is fine, but most of these you're not going to find anything, honestly, that is superior to what just using DexScreener or Dextools. Thunder Terminal is one of the originals. This is probably a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more powerful, more for the advanced traders. And that's Thunder Terminal. And Blacksmith, we talked about before. It has the account abstraction here on the right-hand side for targeting snipe. You can say, I only want you to control the wallet for the next hour and only up to 0.05 ETH, right? So that's the beauty of smart contract accounts, like AA-enabled wallets. DexGW is another. So these are all just different variants, So hopefully this gives you a good overview of trading terminals on-chain trades, decentralized exchanges, and really how to use everything comprehensively. I hope you found it helpful.